أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. وحاجه قومه, and his people argued with him. قال, he said, أتحاجوني, do you argue with me? Why were they arguing with him? Concerning his deen, concerning his belief. That because he said, I don't worship these gods, and instead I worship the one who created the heavens and the earth. He is my Lord. So when he declared his belief, obviously the people turned against him. And they didn't just say, okay, it's your choice, but rather they argued with him. They disputed with him concerning his religion, concerning his aqidah, and they also threatened him that if you abandon the religion of your family, of your forefathers, then what's going to happen? These gods of ours, they're going to harm you. They're going to inflict some harm upon you. So حَاجَّهُ قَوْمُهُ, they disputed with him. And the word حَاجَّ is from the root letters ha, jim, jim. The word hujjah is used for argument. And muhajjah is to debate with one another. Because in a debate, what's happening? Both the parties are trying to overcome each other. And both the parties are showing their point, or they're refuting one another. So وَحَاجَّهُ قَوْمُهُ, his people argued with him. قَالَ, he said, أَتُحَاجُّونِّي, are you arguing with me? If you notice the shadda on the noon, this doesn't mean definitely. Okay? There are actually two noon. The first noon is of tuhajjuna, and the second noon is of ni. So atuhajjuni is actually atuhajjunani. Nani has been changed into tuhajjuni. So are you arguing with me fillahi, concerning Allah, meaning concerning the oneness of Allah? وَقَدْ هَدَانِي, while He has guided me. Meaning, why are you disputing with me when Allah has guided me to Himself, when I have proven to you that He is the only one who deserves worship? When He is the only one who deserves worship, and Allah gave me this hidayah, then why are you arguing with me? وَلَا أَخَافُ, they threatened him that if you abandon this worship of our gods, they're going to harm you. He said, وَلَا أَخَافُ, I don't fear مَا تُشْرِكُونَ بِهِ, that which you associate with Him. Meaning all these gods and goddesses whom you associate with Allah, thinking that they can harm you or they can bring you benefit, I don't fear them, because they cannot harm me. إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ رَبِّي, except that my Lord willed. Meaning, if Allah wishes to inflict some harm upon me, then that is possible, and therefore I fear Allah. But these beings, they cannot harm me, so I don't fear them at all. وَسِعَ رَبِّي كُلَّ شَيْءٍ, my Lord has encompassed everything. Meaning, ilman, in knowledge. So in knowledge, my Lord encompasses everything. So if anything does afflict me, if I do suffer from something, then Allah knows about it. It has come with His permission, not because of these idols or these false gods. أَفَلَا تَتَذَكَّرُونَ, don't you take a lesson? Don't you understand? So we see over here that the people, they were arguing with him. They were trying to threaten him. They were trying to scare him. And they were trying to make him abandon Tawheed and return to Shirk. So he's telling them, why should I, when I am worshipping Allah alone, who deserves worship? And why should I fear your threats when you and your gods cannot harm me unless and until Allah wills? And if He does intend some harm for me, it's His will. And He knows. He encompasses everything in knowledge. He knows if I deserve that. أَفَلَا تَتَذَكَّرُونَ, don't you take a lesson that it is only Allah who can benefit and who can harm? Not these gods of yours. It's only Allah who causes benefit and harm. وَكَيْفَ أَخَافُ, and how should I fear? Meaning, why should I fear? Why should I feel scared? Of what? مَا أَشْرَكْتُمْ, of that whom you associate with Allah. Meaning, why should I fear these false gods and goddesses? Whereas, وَلَا تَخَافُونَ, when you don't fear, أَنَّكُمْ أَشْرَكْتُمْ بِاللَّهِ, that you are associating with Allah. Whereas He can harm you, and He is the one who can bring benefit to you. Why should I fear something that cannot cause me any harm? And you look at yourself. You're not fearing the one who is qadir over harming you and giving you benefit when you are associating partners with Allah. And you are doing shirk with Him, مَا لَمْ يُنَزِّلْ بِهِ عَلَيْكُمْ سُلْطَانًا, for which He has not given you any authority. Sultan is authority, evidence. So He has not given you any authority to associate partners with Him. You have no evidence to show that Allah has partners with Him. فَأَيُّ الْفَرِيقَيْنِ. So which are the two groups? Fariqain is a dual of fariq. What are the two groups referring to? The group of Ibrahim a.s., one man, on Tawheed, and the group of the rest of the people, the mushrikeen, on shirk. So of these two groups, the one who is on Tawheed, the one who is worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only, and the other group of who? Of those who do shirk, those who are not giving the haqq of Allah. Ibrahim a.s., who does not fear the false gods, but who does he fear? Allah. The mushrikeen, on the other hand, they don't fear Allah, and instead who are they fearing? The false gods. They don't fear the one who can punish them, but they fear the one who cannot harm them in any way whatsoever. So of these two groups, which group is ahaqqu, is more deserving bil amni, of peace, of security? In kuntum ta'lamun, if you know. Security against what? Against Allah's wrath, against Allah's punishment. Just imagine there's a person, he just has this imaginary concept and he's very fearful, very concerned of things that don't even exist, things that don't have any reality to them. Is he going to be at peace? Is he? No, because he's going to be scared and worried all the time of something that is unreal, of something that is untrue. And on the other hand, someone who is worried about real dangers, is he going to be successful? Yes, because when he is worried about real dangers, then he is going to take the correct steps. So which of the two groups is more rightful of peace, if you know better? Obviously, who is rightful? The one on Tawheed. So what do we learn from these two ayat? That first of all, we learn that when a person leaves something for the sake of Allah, when a person leaves something for the sake of Allah, then what happens? Other people, they don't leave him. They don't leave him. They come after him, they threaten him, they scare him, they make him worried, they argue with him, they warn him about harmful consequences, or that he could suffer from some loss. But when a person has Iman, then he does not fear anything. Can you think of some examples? When you leave something for the sake of Allah, other people don't leave you. They come and they scare you. For example, if a person had a house on riba and he gets rid of it and instead now he's renting, what do people say? You're wasting your money. What are you going to have in 20 years? Nothing. Whereas if you had bought a house on mortgage, at least in 20 years you would own something. This is what? Threat. So for example, people say, oh, you're going to spend 2 years learning the deen. By that time we'll be done half of our university, half of our bachelor's degree, and you'll still be here? Like for example, if you're wearing the hijab, then no one's going to like you. For example, if a person has a job that was not appropriate for them, or it was earning that was not permissible, if they leave it, then other people, they scare them. That what are you going to do? How are you going to feed yourself? Are you going to go out to the streets now? People really scare you. People try to threaten you that what's going to happen. And sometimes people, they come with a lot of sincerity and well-wishing. Really, with a lot of sincerity. You know, I'm really concerned for you. You should not spend so much time learning the deen. Do something else as well. Right now, you're not married. Right now, you don't have children. Focus on your university. Everything else will come later. But what about the youth who worships Allah when he was young? He will be under the shade of Allah. Not a person who spent his youth studying something else. People can do university even when they're older. But at this time, this prime age that you have right now, in which you don't have responsibilities, you don't have, many of you who are sitting over here who don't have children, you can learn the deen the way many other people wish to learn. And other people will come to you with a lot of sincerity. That's it, don't spend more than a year. Don't spend more than a year and a half. And people will scare you, they will threaten you, they will speak to you with a lot of sincerity. And same thing happened with Ibrahim a.s. وَحَاجَّهُ قَوْمُهُ. And sometimes it's literally an argument. Sometimes over email. Sometimes they will say, you can learn the deen as well, but do it online. Why don't you go to school during the day? Well, why don't you do school online? For example, hijab. If it's banned, then what are you going to do? Are you going to keep it? Are you going to take it off? Or the niqab? Who's going to look at your face then? What if, nobody likes you? What if you don't get married? People bring these concerns to you. And sometimes out of a lot of well-wishing. So Ibrahim a.s. وَحَاجَّهُ قَوْمُهُ. And this is something that happened with all of the prophets and all of the righteous people. That people came to them, threatening them. And sometimes, people come to you telling you stories. That I know of that girl, she used to wear hijab and she never got married. She became so old. She spent her 3 years at Al-Huda and that was it. Maryam a.s., she gave her youth to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah gave her a son. And she's remembered till today. وَصَدَّقَتْ بِكَلِمَاتِ رَبِّهَا. Surah of the Quran named after her. Sometimes a person who intends to become a Muslim, other people also threaten them. That, what are you going to do? What about your family? So this is something that happens. Other people will come and discourage you. And sometimes they're not doing it out of spite. They're really doing it out of sincerity. And this is something that is common. We learn about Hud alayhi salam as well, that when he preached to his people, in Surah Hud we learn that they said to him, O Hud, no evidence have you brought us, and we shall not leave our gods for your mere saying. And we are not believers in you. All that we say is that some of our gods have seized you with evil. Some of our gods have seized you with evil. They have affected you with evil. Why? Because you don't respect them anymore. So people threaten you that if you leave something for the sake of Allah, you're going to suffer some harm. But what should we remember? That if we do suffer some harm, it comes from who? From Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what Allah willed for me. إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ Allah. Yes, it's possible you leave your job for the sake of Allah and you don't find another one. Or you don't find another one for a long time. Or you don't find another one that pays you that well. Or that, yes, at the end of 20 years, 25 years, you don't own a house. Yes, it's possible. But, أَن يَشَاءَ Allah. And Allah knows everything. He knows what's good for me. He knows what's bad for me. So it takes us to the next lesson, that no harm can reach a person except by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if a person does suffer from something because of following the commands of Allah, because of leaving something for the sake of Allah, then he must realize that it has come his way by the permission of Allah. And this life is a test. This life is a test. It's very clear. When you study the Quran for 2 years, you go back to school, your friends are your seniors. They're working and you're still in school. They're making money and you still don't have a penny. It's possible. So what? It is difficult. But what should a person realize? This life is a test anyway. If it wasn't this test, it would be some other test. I'm never free from a test. So this is the test that Allah has sent for me in my way right now. We also learn from these ayat that Tawheed makes a person confident. It makes a person fearless. That when he's focused on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's so confident. No one can harm me. No one can benefit me. If something does come my way, it's from Allah. When a person is focused on Allah, when وَجَّهْتُ وَجْهِيَ لِلَّذِي فَطَرَ السَّمَوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ, when that happens, then a person becomes very confident. He does not become scared of jinn and people and harmful consequences, because he knows if something is going to harm me, it's only going to harm me by the permission of Allah. We also learn from this ayat that a person who does not believe in Allah, a person who does shirk, or a person who does not give the haqq of Allah, he is at risk. Because Ibrahim a.s. said that you don't fear Allah while you are associating partners with Him. You are not giving the haqq of Allah. You should be scared. You should be worried. So a person who does not give the haqq of Allah, he should be worried. He's at risk. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives a response. To what? To the question that Ibrahim a.s. posed, that فَأَيُّ الْفَرِيقَيْنِ أَحَقُّ بِالْأَمْنِ إِن كُنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. Who is more worthy of being at peace, being secure in this dunya and in the akhirah? If you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, who is worthy of peace? الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Those people who believed, وَلَمْ يَلْبِسُوا إِيمَانَهُمْ بِظُلْمٍ. And they have not mixed their iman with injustice. يَلْبِسُ, from the root letters, lam basin. What does labasa mean? To mix. Remember, it does not mean to clothe. That is libas. This is to mix. Clothing something means hiding it. And labasa yalbisu is to mix. Okay? There's a difference between hiding and mixing. So, lam yalbisu imanahum, they did not mix their iman with injustice. What does dhulm literally mean? Naqs. To fall short. To reduce in giving the haqq of someone. So they don't mix their iman with injustice. What does this injustice refer to? Injustice against Allah, which is shirk. Whether it is in aqeedah, in belief, or it is in ibadah, in worship. أُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمُ الْأَمْنُ. Such people, they will have aman. That no matter what difficulty they're going through, even in the dunya, they're at peace. They're content. This is what my Rabb wanted. This is what my Lord willed for me. They have aman. They're at peace. وَهُمْ مُهْتَدُونَ. And they're also rightly guided. They are shown the way. They're given the tawfiq. Who? A person who becomes firm on tawheed. So what do we learn from this ayah? That a person who does dhulm, he does not have aman. A person who does dhulm, injustice, he does not have aman. Where? In this dunya or in the akhirah. Even the smallest of things, they prick him. They make him upset. They make him worried. They make him concerned. But a person who believes very firmly in tawheed, who does not do dhulm, then he is at peace. And even if you look at it in the other way, although dhulm over here refers to in particular dhulmun azim, which is shirk, but even in the other way, when a person has been unfair towards others, can he be at peace in his heart? No. He's always scared. He's always worried. What is that person saying? What is that person doing? What is he thinking? Are you okay? He's always concerned about this. Why? Because there is a guilt inside. He has done dhulm on somebody or the other. That's why there is this guilt inside him. On the other hand, a person whose heart is clean, who has not done dhulm on other people, he's giving the haqq that other people deserve to his maximum ability, then he's at peace. He's at rest. Secondly, we also learn from this ayah that a person who does dhulm, he does not even get hidayah. He does not get hidayah. Even if he does get hidayah ilmiyah, he doesn't get hidayah amali. Allah does not give him tawfiq. There is a hadith that is recorded in Al-Bukhari that Abdullah said that when the ayah وَلَمْ يَلْبِسُوا إِيمَانَهُمْ بِظُلْمٍ, this ayah was revealed, the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, they became very worried. And they said, who among us has not committed zulm? Meaning each person does some kind of zulm, isn't it? Either it is zulm against ourselves, or against our family members, or against our children, against so many people. We do zulm. So we have mixed zulm with iman in some way or the other. So the Prophet ﷺ told them that over here zulm does not refer to any kind of zulm, but rather it refers to shirk in particular. We learned that he said, it's not what you understood from it. Did you not hear what the righteous servant said? Meaning Luqman, what he said, that Ya bunayya la tushrik billah, inna shirka la zulmun azim. So this also shows to us that it's very important to look at the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ to understand the Quran properly. وَتِلْكَ حُجَّتُنَا, and that was our argument. What? What does tilka refer to? Tilka refers to the uful of the star, the moon, and the sun. The disappearing of the star, the moon, and the sun. That he used that as an argument against his people. Or it may also refer to the statement of Ibrahim a.s. كَيْفَ أَخَافُ مَا أَشْرَكْتُمْ وَلَا تَخَافُونَ أَنَّكُمْ أَشْرَكْتُمْ بِاللَّهِ مَا لَمْ يُنَزِّلْ بِهِ عَلَيْكُمْ سُلْطَانًا فَأَيُّ الْفَرِيقَيْنِ أَحَقُّ بِالْأَمْنِ. So this statement was our hujjah, meaning our argument that we gave to Ibrahim a.s. آتَيْنَاهَا, we gave it to who? Ibrahim. عَلَى قَوْمِهِ, against his people. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspired this hujjah in Ibrahim a.s. and he used it to defend himself against his people. He used it to prove tawheed to his people. And this was a special favor of Allah to Ibrahim a.s. Because sometimes, you're talking to someone, you're explaining something to them, and nothing comes to your mind. You don't know what to say. You don't know how to defend your religion. You don't know how to explain something to them. And sometimes, the ayat of the Quran, they're just popping in your head and you can say one thing after the other. Huh? It happens, right? In some situations, you know the answers. You're getting so many ideas. You're getting so many thoughts. In other situations, you're completely blank. So over here where Ibrahim a.s., he had the hujjah, Allah says, we gave it to him. نَرْفَعُ دَرَجَاتٍ. We elevate the ranks of who? مَن نَشَاء. Whoever we will. How? Through ilm. Through hikmah. That in ilm and hikmah, we raise the darajat of some over the others. That in this situation, Ibrahim a.s. was given ilm. He was given hikmah. He was given a reasoning, a hujjah. And with that, his darajah was elevated. So نَرْفَعُ دَرَجَاتٍ مَن نَشَاء. We elevate the ranks of whomsoever we will. إِنَّ رَبَّكَ حَكِيمٌ عَلِيمٌ. Indeed, your Lord is wise and He's also knowing. He is wise in His creation, in His dispensation, in what He does, and He is alim of everything. So what do we learn from this ayah? What do we learn from this ayah? That if a person is able to present some evidence before another, or he's able to prove something to the other, he's able to justify something to the other, defend himself, then who does the credit go to? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't think I'm so smart. Never think like that. That I didn't know I was that smart. I didn't know I remembered so much of the Quran. Yes, thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that came to your mind, and that's exactly what we should remember, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who gives tawfiq. And we also realize that a person who has ilm, a person who's able to use ilm at the right time, apply the knowledge at the right time, that is a special favor of Allah. With that, his degree, his rank is elevated in the sight of Allah. نَرْفَعُ دَرَجَاتٍ مَن نَشَاء. Whoever we will. And this is not just with regards to ilm and hikmah, but this is general. That Allah raises the ranks of whatever He wills for whoever. In the following ayat, the reward that was given to Ibrahim a.s. is mentioned. That how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala recompensed him. That he had to leave his family now. He said, إِنِّي بَرِيءٌ مِمَّا تُشْرِكُونَ. I am bari. I have nothing to do with you. And when you leave something for the sake of Allah, what happens? You suffer some loss. But look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala recompensed him. Look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made up for that loss. He had to give up his family. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him children. Not just a son, but sons. And not just sons, but who were actually prophets. And not just that they were prophets, he even got to see his grandson being a prophet. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes up for the loss that you may suffer in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let's listen to the recitation.